Here's a riddle for you. What is something that we all need, but at the same time, most of us have to get rid of? The answer for many is money. Some people view money as a part of life that's needed to pay for the essentials. For others, the goal is to acquire as much as possible and become stinking rich. Money's importance in our daily lives can never be changed. We all need it, and the more we have it, the easier our lives are. But it may shock you to learn about how much the concept of money has changed since its establishment. For most of us, money has been a part of our daily lives for as long as we've been alive. The existence of it goes way back to 5,000 years. In the current day and age, we usually pay for goods and services using paper money, coins, credit and debit cards, and in recent years, cryptocurrency. There is one thing that is the same no matter where you go. To acquire goods and services, you need to pay with money. So, what do we know about money as it's continued to evolve since its earliest establishment? Before the concept of money was even a thought, we had the barter system. This was a system where things were exchanged for one another. An example would be, say, you owned a farm, but you don't have an axe to cut down a tree on your land. At the same time, another farmer you know had harvested fruits and vegetables but were ruined. So the two of you decide to make a trade. You give him a few sacks of fruits and vegetables you've grown, and you get his axe in exchange. Each of you now have gained something you need, but you also have to ensure that it is a fair trade and if something is worth exchanging. Precious metals such as bronze, silver, and gold were also popular barter items. The value that people placed on these precious metals was based on their beauty, rarity, and usefulness. Bronze was a highly desired bartering commodity, partly because metal workers were able to melt it down and create needed items such as armor, weapons, and tools. Silver and gold were also highly desired for many uses in terms of what they could be shaped into, be it a fine silver dagger or some jewelry. The reasons that both gold and silver increased in value and demand as bartering commodities came down to two significant factors. The first is how beautiful silver and especially gold are. Humans have always placed a high value on what they consider to be beautiful. Over the centuries, gold in particular came to be more associated with wealth. This only made gold more desirable and valuable as a commodity. One of the other things that affected the value of gold and silver is their availability throughout history. As gold and silver were difficult to come across in certain areas, they were both considered more valuable. Now, what's particularly interesting is the link between precious metals such as bronze as bartering tools and a form of money. As far as we know, the link happened roughly around the year 405. That's when it was recorded that Roman soldiers were initially paid in rough bronze as a reward for their military service. It's believed that ancient civilizations in India, Africa, and China used cowrie shells, which is a type of sea snail, as a form of bartering. In August of 2021, Chinese archaeologists with the State University of Zhengzhou made a fantastic discovery. Their research uncovered what's believed to be the world's oldest coin minting site in Guangzhou, China, which dates back to the year 640. Around the same time that China began minting coins, the Lydians minted their own coins made out of a mixture of silver and gold. Over the next several centuries, more and more countries adopted their own form of coins. A great example of this is in the year 800, Roman Emperor Charlemagne issued a silver penny as the official standard currency in Western Europe. As you might imagine, like almost all coins throughout time, these pennies were printed with a picture of the ruler's face on them. The invention of coin money made things much easier than the previous barter system in a lot of ways. Instead of figuring out what to trade, provided you had enough coins, you could purchase whatever you needed. However, printed coins created their own set of problems. For one, you must remember that many countries were still very divided within. England, for example, was split up into hundreds of fiefdoms, which are like mini kingdoms, each one with their own ruler and each one with their own coin. Another major problem was counterfeiting. But as long as humans have walked the earth, there's always been those willing to cheat to get ahead. If someone had the skills, it was possible to create their own identical versions of these coins. In other words, why work towards earning money when you can literally make your own? This happened in England in the late 1600s. At the time, the country suffered from several problems. One of them was that the hand-pressed silver coins included less silver, which lowered its value. They also became incredibly easy to counterfeit or make fake but realistic-looking copies of. Coin counterfeiting became such a problem that by 1696, at least 10% of the currency was made up of counterfeit coins. The counterfeiting problem got so bad that the English Treasury asked Sir Isaac Newton for help. At the time, several gangs were making counterfeit coins. However, one of the most famous and interesting was a conman named William Challoner. William was known for his work, which included making versions of the French coin, known as the pistole, as well as the British coin. He became so successful in his illegal trade that he owned a house in Knightsbridge, the wealthiest side of London, and ate off the finest silverware. He also traveled by horse and carriage and only dressed in the finest clothes. This was a long way from his humble beginnings. When the Bank of England introduced paper money, William was quick to jump on counterfeiting those as well. As William's scams grew bolder, he became the direct focus of Sir Isaac Newton. Newton's work would eventually lead to William Challoner's hanging on the gallows in 1699. When it comes to paper money, it may surprise you to learn that China once again led the way. China introduced the world's first paper money in the 11th century, though its origins can be traced back hundreds of years earlier to the 7th century. There are many reasons why paper money was introduced. The first was that, as anyone who's walked around with a pocket full of change knows, carrying a lot of coins can be very heavy compared to paper money. The other is that a skilled craftsman could always make convincing counterfeit coins. As an additional barrier against people counterfeiting paper money, Chinese currency in 1271 had security warnings printed on them, that being, those who are counterfeiting will be beheaded. In Europe, it would take another 400 years or so for paper money to be introduced. Sweden took the lead in 1661. After that, other parts of the world began to introduce their own form of paper money, such as when India's first paper bills appeared in 1779. That isn't to say no one has ever produced counterfeit paper money, of course. Even to this day, paper money is consistently involved in an attempt to stay a step ahead of the counterfeiting. Such measures include the United States introducing security measures such as fine print and security ribbons only visible under black light. Countries such as the UK, Canada, and Australia introduced money made out of a flexible plastic polymer, which is cleaner, safer, and stronger than paper money. They also introduced their own methods for preventing counterfeiting. Paper money would eventually result in currency wars, which is when rulers of other countries try to devalue their own currencies. This raises demand and supports their economy. You could even say this still happens on the foreign exchange market today. One of the negative effects of currency wars is currency volatility. As more and more countries introduced their own forms of paper money, that type of currency became the standard way of paying for things for centuries. Then, as all things do, things once again evolved. Many of us have at least a debit card in our wallet. However, when the Bank of America introduced the first known credit card in 1958, many weren't sure it would even catch on. Once people realized how much more convenient it was to pay for items with a card as opposed to having to always carry cash around, it became a revolution. Of course, that's not to say that cash disappeared from people's wallets with the invention of credit cards. So much is so that credit card companies we know today were founded all in quick succession, with Visa launching in 1966, as well as MasterCard, known as the Master Charge, launching in 1969. After it merged with Citibank's, it became the Everything Card. America wasn't alone in the credit card revolution, as the same year that Visa launched, the Barclays card launched in the UK in 1966. Over the following decades, more and more countries adopted credit card usage. These tiny plastic cards carry their own advantages and disadvantages. Since credit cards were first introduced and technology has become more accessible, things have moved quickly in terms of the evolution of money. Just a year after Barclays launched their own credit card in the UK, they also introduced the world's first bank card in 1967, which allowed the holder to visit a cash machine and take money out of their account using the card instead of having to go to a teller. This gave the added convenience of having access to the funds in your account even after banking hours. The first American bank card was launched in 1972. Debit cards were another revolution for consumers as they allow people to go shopping and pay for things without cash. Just swipe Swiping or tapping your card instantly transfers money from your bank account to the merchant. They have become so widely used that few people even carry cash anymore. Another reason for this simply comes down to security. The rise of debit cards has allowed people to feel safer with their money, especially when traveling. As technology has continued to evolve, so has money itself. The continuing goal is to just make it safer and more convenient. In recent years, we have seen the rise of digital currencies, known as cryptocurrency. Though they only exist in the digital world, they can and have been used to purchase real-world items. Cryptocurrency is considered more secure than credit and debit card payments. This is because cryptocurrencies don't need third-party verification, just like the banks do. When a customer pays with cryptocurrency, their data isn't stored where the breaches usually occur. The information is stored in crypto wallets. The blockchain ledger is used to verify and record every transaction, making it very difficult, if not impossible, to steal someone's identity. Many believe that crypto is the future of money. As we've seen throughout history, money constantly evolves, both in terms of value and the form of money itself. From the first items ever traded to the first coins and paper currency, it's interesting to see how it continues to evolve. Will we continue to use physical, tangible paper money, or will the future of money lie in the digital world?